So, what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions Publishing, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission is the lead author of one of our newest books. This one is called From Burnout to Burning Bright: Prevention, Healing, and Recovery. And Scott Holmes, and I don't just want to welcome you to this interview. I want to really shower some gratitude on you. First of all, it takes something to become a lead author and to raise your hand for that. But you and I we go back a minute. And the story I love to tell is, um, I asked you when you came into our world as an advanced reader. I'm like, I really want to put this review on the back of our book, Scott. And I then recall you telling this story over and over of me asking you to do that. But people don't often put the time and energy and effort back into other people, and you do. And I love you, and I think you're an amazing human being. And how you feeling?
Showered with love at the moment. Thank you very much. It has been a long time. It has been a long time, almost 5 years since I started. You put that review in the back of the book, and that started my writing career. I always wanted to write, and that started it. Your belief in me allowed me to start opening up, and
Well,
it's been quite a journey ever since.
I'm glad that you grabbed on and went for the ride. You guys, let me tell you a little bit about Scott. Um, Scott Holmes is a quantum healing practitioner, transformational coach, and Amazon bestselling author whose work bridges science, spirit, and the human heart. A Reiki master teacher, polarity therapist, rise teacher, theta healer, universal white time healing practitioner, and certified find your voice coach. Scott blends a decade of study with the hard earned wisdom of lived experience. And I want to just show you all the gorgeousness of this book that we're talking about today, From Burnout to Burning Bright. Um, I love the flames on this cover. I love, shout out to Dino Marino, who helped Scott with cover design for this book. We have a lot of amazing people contributing to this book, but I guess the first thing I want to know, Scott, is, and I do know a little bit of this already, but what's your why for this book? Tell everyone.
The why is because whether it's clients or friends, this came up time and time and time again about burnout, that everyone was feeling really frazzled with the changes that are happening in our world today. The ground is shifting constantly, daily almost. It seems that we're getting hit with different aspects of life that change and that were solid before. And that lends itself to we get more closed off, we try harder, we work harder, we become more isolated. And in doing so, we get burnt out. And how burnout shows itself is different for everybody, but it's that lack of the ability to think clearly, the lack of clarity that we have, the lack of energy when we don't want to get out of bed in the morning, we don't want to throw the covers off. The don't show up and aren't present the way that we like to with the people that we care most about. And that's where everything happens. And you prompted that. In August, 9 months ago, you said you need to do a book. And this, From Burnout to Burning Bright, appeared on the page while we were talking. It hasn't changed since. So it was guided from up above to be able to allow people to see burnout for what it is and the variety through the 25 stories in the book to be able to latch on to things that they might need. And that's really it's all about um, showing people how things look, how their perception can change just by understanding where they are.
So let's say somebody's listening and they might be in a stage of awareness about this, like, oh gosh, I feel like I'm burning out. And I would I would say that if you're there, you're probably further in than you think, first of all. But what would be the most important thing you want them to know at that stage?
First of all, that they're not alone. Most of us, when we get there, we actually close in. We become more isolated. That you're not unique, that this happens to a lot of people, that there is a way out. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to change your entire life. It just means that you change your perspective one click at a time, one click at a time to be able to get to the other end of this, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that you can change it, that you can find joy again in your life, not just the dread of, oh my God, it's another day.
Mm. So you are an incredible writer, first of all, but you're very vulnerable in your writing. And I've been reading the different chapters that you've written for our different expert collaborations over these years. And this time, I was getting ready to read these chapters and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see what he's doing next with this particular chapter. But you are very vulnerable in your writing and you write about some tough stuff. So, how has it been? How has this writing journey been for you, and how are you feeling about some of the stories you've shared so far and the ones that you'll share in this book?
The very first one that I wrote in was Sacred Death with Hamali Vora. You had said you need to talk to Hamali, and it was called Sacred Death. And I was getting over the loss of my wife. And at that moment, I could not tell the story of my wife, of my life. I couldn't relate it to anybody without breaking down. Didn't have the words. In writing this, in writing that chapter, I was able to tell the story, but in such a way that there was no blame, there was no shame, there was no woulda, shoulda, coulda. Just this is what my experience was. And I always found that when you talk about from the heart, you can't be wrong. This is how you saw it. This is how you felt it. This is how you went into it. These are the decisions you made. 2020, when you look back, well, I should have done this. You did the best you could at that moment. And so that vulnerability for me in the writing is I want to describe fully. I want to bring people in and show them the thought process, the feelings, because so many years didn't have access to those feelings. I shut them down. And writing, and I think this is the 15th project that you and I have done together, the writing allows me to explain, truly explain, to truly show people. And for me, writing has become alchemy, taking a pencil and paper and turning it into feelings, turning lead into gold. That is true alchemy. To be able to bring a 3D pen and paper to expression of feelings, expression of joy, curiosity, every emotion possible, and to let people know that they can feel those things again.
Well, your co-authors did a pretty phenomenal job as well. And you guys, when you open up a book like this and you realize that, Scott and his co-authors really took on my challenge. Like, give us a real and vulnerable story. Let us get to know you on that page. And so I just have a thank you to all of your co-authors for not only for saying yes and wanting to contribute, but for really taking that challenge and going for it. The stories are amazing. The master teachings, right? We have the answer section in your book. And
Mm.
so they're going to teach some of their master tools and strategies and practices and all of those things. And man, you guys are brilliant. I'm honored to be to know you and to be involved with you in this way. And Scott, I'm sure you have a special thank you for them as well.
I certainly do. I was talking to Karen Robinson just yesterday, um, chapter chapter 17, and she said, I said yes to this chapter, and then I really was mad at you. And I said, why? She said, you made me look at the one of the hardest times of my life again, and it was hard. And I had at least half the author, and most of these authors are veteran authors who said that this was probably the hardest chapter they have had to write because I too challenged them. Don't just gloss over. I need you to tell the real story. I need you to tell what was going on in your head, in your heart, and in your life so that other people could understand that there are other people that went through this and they made it to the other side. They made it out of this, that it isn't forever. Don't make decisions based that this is going to be the only thing in your life anymore, that this is the only perspective. And it changed. I learned so much from the tools of the other authors about how to regulate my nervous system, how to look at anxiety, how to try to see the bright side of life, and to find joy again, to find love again, to find that curiosity, that joy de vivre that we had when we were children, to be able to understand that. And they did an incredible job, truly incredible job. And it is that vulnerability that lays it all out there that I think people are going to be able to understand and not only just read it, but feel it. And that's what I truly wanted out of this book is for people to understand it that way.
So you have a thing or two going on aside from the book. Like, tell us what you've been up to in the world and, how do you work with people and what's going on, in the oh my gosh, what am I thinking of? Just like I want to know the day to day of Scott and what you're up to.
Well, I practice what I preach, and that's therein I think lies the hard part for people is that you can espouse something, but if you don't live it, it's not authentic. So every morning I get on my mat, every morning I do meditation, every morning I do yoga. And at 68 years old, I feel like I'm living my best 18-year-old life. It is my second time around at 18. I wanted to teach, I wanted to write, and I wanted to travel. When I was 18 years old, life had a different directed me in different ways back then, but now I can do that. I just got back from Egypt, sailing down the Nile on a 150-foot yacht, um, experiencing time in the Great Pyramid, looking up at the Sphinx, directly up at the Sphinx, being in between the paws of the Sphinx, being able to do that. And because of that, because of the connections I've made through the collaborations with authors who are making these retreats, who are bringing people there, it has expanded my world incredibly. I work with people one-on-one, excuse me, and in group settings. And I meet people where they are. One of the things that I've been told is that I have a lot of dad energy. And so I hold space for a lot of people. And in doing that, it allows them to be in a safe space where they can be vulnerable and go back to being who they were meant to be without expectations. And that's really how I love to work with people, how I love to enable them to be better themselves.
So just wrapping up today with kind of like what are some last words that you'd like to offer to our listeners about burnout, about that hope, about that way out? What do you want to leave us with today?
If you know somebody who is overwhelmed, if you know somebody who is going through burnout, if you know somebody who you care about, gi gift them the book, share the book with them. It is an incredibly valuable tool. I have two people that in our authorship that are going to be using it in practical purposes for clients because of you have all of these different 25 different touch points of people that you might relate to. And the tools that they give are are truly a gift.
Yeah, agree 100% with that. What a gift. Imagine having 25 coaches on your side and helping you out. Scott, thank you so much for what you do in the world. Thanks for being here today to share with everybody. I'm so excited for the book. You guys, this is actually way more than a book. You can hear it from Scott today. This is a generous community of amazing human beings, and they're there to answer a question. You can reach out, right? So drop down into the show notes because I have Scott hooked up with all of his links. You can go explore. Please go explore and click on all of the links. We, of course, would love for you to hop over to Amazon and grab your copy of this amazing book. The link is below for that as well. And lastly, today, everyone, remember your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.